Hi, this is Amy from Gerrie Electric, and I wanted to show you how easy it is to create a new display server within our ThinManager software. So if you take a look here, I'm on the Display Server tab within my ThinManager software, and I currently have a couple sources of display content already set up. As you can see here, I have two remote desktop servers. These remote desktop servers house the content and applications that are being sent to my Thin client terminals. I also have a camera set up and a VNC connection to a virtual panel view. So let's take a look at how to add something like, for example, an IP camera. So if I wanted to add an IP camera as a source of display content within my ThinManager software, I'm going to right-click on Camera and select Add Camera. So the first thing to be done, as with adding anything into a system, is to give it a name. I'm just going to name it Camera Demo for the purposes of this wizard. Now we have an option here to change group. In this case, I just have one group named Cameras, but you could actually create multiple groups to segment the cameras around your facility. The next step is to choose the type of camera, an IP or a USB camera. A USB camera can be connected directly to one of your Thin client terminals. I'm going to add an IP camera and enter in the IP address of the camera. The IP address that you use here will be the same IP address that you use when setting up the camera out of the box. So you're going to add the IP address of the camera as well as the port number for your RTSP or real-time streaming protocol connection. You do have some other options as well for connections to the software, but we're going to stick with the RTSP TCP connection. If you're unsure of which streaming protocol or which port number to use here during the setup, you should be able to find that information on the camera manufacturer's website, usually under the FAQ or technical documentation, when you're looking at how to do outside connections to the camera itself. Finally, the last step is to enter a username and password for the camera. Again, this is something you'll define when you set up the camera out of the box. Whether you're using the default username and password or changing it to something customizable, you'll have to add it into these boxes. And finally, any custom URL that may be needed to access the camera through an RTSP connection. So that's it. Two screens, two small pieces of information, and you've now connected a camera into ThinManager. It can now be set up in a display client as full screen, tiled as part of a virtual screen, or as an overlay on top of an existing application. Check out our other videos at gerrie.com/RA to find out more.